Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital?
Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show?
Do you enjoy talking about the show with others?
Do you find yourself yelling at the TV?
Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles?
If so, we invite you to join hosts
Amanda Kimmel
and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed.
Meet us at Pier 54,
A General Hospital fan podcast.
Hi.
Welcome to the Port Charles 411, where we are talking to our July fan of the month, Sarah Kelly.
So much fun.
We had way too much. Can you have too much fun talking about General Hospital?
Of course not, but I feel like we could have done 3 or 4 podcasts for just that one conversation.
It was actually a little bit difficult to edit just because we had so many great conversations that also kind of segued into life. And then it was like, okay, because we really do try to keep it. I mean, obviously we want to get to know them as people too.
Right, but you got to stick with General Hospital, which we're not always the best at doing.
Not always. But it was a lot of fun, so we hope that you enjoy our chat. And if you want to be considered to be our next General Hospital fan of the month, just go to Pier 54 Podcast and enter the form. Hi. Oh, your audio's coming in. There we go. Okay.
There you go. Hi, guys.
There we go. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. It's tough to get this stuff to work sometimes, I know.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have the kids here. They usually know how to do it.
Of course.
Yes.
I'm Shannon.
I'm Amanda.
So thanks for writing in and asking to be one of our fans of the month. That's awesome.
No worries. I love it. I love the podcast. I listen to it all the time at work.
Oh, thank you. What do you do?
I work in security.
Okay.
Normally I'm an event security guard. I work festivals and all this kind of like crazy events. Sometimes clothes protection, bodyguarding, stuff like that. But right now with the pandemic, I'm just concierging in a building.
Okay. Do you see a lot of people, or is it really shut down?
It's really shut down.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Our entire festival season's been canceled, so it's kind of weird.
Do you have any questions for us before we really get started? I mean, we just like to, you listen, so we just like to talk.
Oh, absolutely. I love it.
So do you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself and about, how you got into General Hospital and everything?
Yeah, I was a kid. The day I remember it's so most vivid, I was homesick from school and the babysitter was watching that show again. But it happened to be the one episode where the first episode Robin showed up.
Oh, when she was little.
Yeah, and I was about that age. So for me, it was like, oh my God, there's a kid. And this is awesome. And I got hooked right then. But, young and stuff. So you go away, come back, go away. Junior high happens, stuff, high school, and then you get right into it.
Right. These kids today don't realize how easy they have it, that they can stream it, that they can watch on Hulu. If our VCRs record it, we're
rearranging like high school schedules. It's like, I want that last class off. That would be my spare, so I could run home and watch General, be home by 3 to watch it.
Right.
What's been your favorite storyline?
Of all times, I would say the original Emily Amber.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent her to boarding school, and Reginald and the staff went on strike.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That was one of my ultimate favorite storylines forever, because it was the first time you really saw the staff go, you know what, we like you, but we like her better.
Right.
Yeah.
I love how obscure you picked.
Yes, exactly.
Good job.
It's one of those ones that has been in my mind forever, and I've tried to find it on YouTube. I've tried to and you just can't find that little scene anywhere.
Oh,
that's funny.
Now
I
we're on a
YouTube
mission.
had everything. Yeah, now we have to find it.
Well, we heard that they definitely don't. Their YouTube's missing, and I don't understand how people make those videos from the shows back in the 80s. I'm like, how do you do that?
Unless you have tons of videotape, and I mean the VHS, and you're just cut pasting the whole time. Wow. I don't have that time.
Right.
My husband would know how to do something like that, though. But
who thought to record it back then and keep every episode? Even recording it back then, you taped over the previous weeks.
Yeah.
The following week. You didn't, at least in my house, you didn't get a brand new tape every week.
Oh, no. We had the GH tape, and that was it.
Yep. Until that one got a little too wonky to watch after a while. Then you went to the dollar store, bought another one, and started recording again.
Exactly. Yeah. So to keep them all, wow. They were dedicated.
Yeah.
But
I
there's
love
been
that.
so many storylines over the years too that just have opened everybody up. The Robin Stone AIDS story, the tackling all of the gay storylines, which has been amazing to see just how much thought and care they've put into them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I love that they make them so natural too. Whenever you're watching it, it's not like any of the storylines, but especially, the newer ones with the gay and transgender and stuff. It's not like they're forcing it down your throat and that's all that we're going to focus on. It's just, this is part of life. These are everyday people. It's not a big deal. Why do we need to make a big deal?
Right.
So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They do that a lot with the mental health too. Like it just happens,
Yes.
and it.
That is one thing that I actually am very grateful for is Maurice's story. And when it came out, because I had been struggling myself with bipolarism. So kind of watching it unfold and go, oh God, you see little traits where you're like, oh shoot, that's me. And you're like, okay, maybe I should talk to somebody just to see.
Mm-hmm.
And you get those things and watching them do it over and over and over again, like showing that it's hereditary, showing that it's just nice to see those combinations.
Mm-hmm.
But they're continuing old storylines too.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. I'm totally
So I had a theory on who Dev is, by the way.
Oh,
Okay,
yes,
go for
tell
it.
us.
The little boy Brenda brought back when
Yep.
she came with Sunny, I think that's him. I think he's grown up. I think they've aged him, and that is the child.
The one that was supposed to be Dante's. Air
Yeah.
quotes, supposed to be Dante's.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to get a sound effect because I
We
do a
do.
lot of air quoting.
I do it all the time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because was that actually, so we just watched a ton of Dante. Was that
Yeah.
actually on the TV? Yeah, because they
Yes.
showed Brenda
They
leaving with
talked
Jax.
about him, but they never actually showed the little boy.
I thought they showed him on the plane when they were leaving with Jax.
I don't know if that was part of our Dante.
I know.
research. We tend to
I watched
confuse
too
them.
much.
But yes, we saw the little boy somewhere in the past couple weeks, and he wasn't like the same skin tone and dark hair and all
No.
that. So they definitely.
Although I have a catch so we're watching Night Shift now instead of rewatching the spring 2020 episodes because we just watched them.
Yep.
Baby Jake had brown eyes.
Oh.
Doesn't Jake now have blue eyes?
I think you're right. Yeah, that was a good
Yeah.
catch.
I was watching the baby and I'm like, you don't have blue eyes.
You'll have to write.
I know, it's so funny when we pick up on those little inconsistencies. And it's like, hey, wait, it's like we're still trying to figure out how the new Michael, Chad has blonde hair instead of red.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
So it's
the kid that was before him didn't have red hair though either. He was
No,
kind of
I wasn't a
blonde
fan of
too.
that one though.
That was a short.
That was a very short one.
You didn't have time to get attached one way or the other.
Well, I mean, I guess they were trying to maybe tie him to Bobby for having,
Right.
but
And I think they actually, when I saw Steve Burton and Bradford Anderson on one of their That's Awesome tours, they actually said that. Jason was like, where does he get the hair from? And somebody's like, Bobby.
okay. Cool. Yeah, that's a really good show. So you went and saw Stephen Bradford?
Yeah, just down in Seattle.
Okay. What'd you think of it?
I loved it. I think the two of them are awesome. Actually, that's how I found you guys.
Oh,
Because
okay.
you were interviewing Bradford, I believe.
Yep.
Mhm.
And he had mentioned it on That's Awesome. And I went, oh my God, there's a podcast.
He mentioned us on
I
That's
didn't
Awesome.
know he mentioned us.
Yeah, because he mentioned being on a podcast about GH. So I went in search of that podcast.
I thought that I was looking for that and I didn't. Okay, I'm gonna have to go find that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so little because when I heard it, I was like, there's another podcast. And I went searching.
Oh, well,
And that's how I
awesome.
found it.
We do really need tied in with ours because we say that's awesome too much.
Well, because I listen to them every week, and I
Yeah.
was specifically listening for, okay, is he going to say anything? How did I miss that? But you know what? So I do the same thing when I watch GH, though. I do it a lot like while I'm driving or while I'm cleaning or doing something else. And it's so I can see where, I could have just glazed over it because I'm like, well, yeah, there's a GH podcast. But
Because I've been trying to search for other more podcasts to listen to get more like, hey, I want to hear what everybody else is thinking because this is the crazy crap that I think. I want to see what everybody else.
That's exactly how this came about, was years and years of texts and conversations. And we're like, people have got to think we're crazy.
Oh, yeah, no, when we discuss it outside of the house, it's hilarious.
Well, you said that your husband watches also, and he calls it
The Sex Hospital.
That's
I like that name.
Very
Yeah,
appropriate.
it was funny because there was a point there when he first moved in and I'm like, 11 o'clock is my time. because I get the time shift.
Okay.
So I watch it before I go to like get up and do all the work stuff. It's like my one, kids are gone, everybody's out. This is my time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, 11 to 12 is my DH time. You got to go. Like, and I used to kick him out. And he's like, and one day he ended up staying because I think it was like really coming down rain and he didn't want to go out and do anything. And he got in and it was a Sunny episode and he got hooked. He's like, you got the mob on this? This is awesome.
Oh, that's great. So is Sunny his favorite character?
Yeah, he thinks it's absolutely, but there's times he's like, the mob wouldn't act like that. They wouldn't do that. It's like, just shut up or you're going to go get kicked out again.
Right. So do you remember what storyline it was that he saw with Sunny? Because sometimes there's, I mean, yeah, they talk about it, but sometimes there's not a lot of action going on. But I
believe it was right when they were figuring out the Jason Drew.
Oh,
okay.
So it was it was the, well, who is who?
Uh-huh.
And he was just like, oh no, he'll know.
No.
No clue. But yeah, I think he got sucked into that because of all the drama all the time around the pier at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So have you filled him in on the past? So
I try.
Yeah.
He's like, if it's relevant to what's going on, he wants to know. If not, he's like, it's fine.
Okay. Because I feel like that sometimes is, well, so my husband talks about Michael Easton. Like he'll walk in and he'll go, so who is he today? You know, is he a vampire? Is he a doctor? Is he a cop? Who is he?
My favorite is he's like, there's a restaurant in the hospital. What do you mean there's office towers? And it's like, it doesn't all take place in the hospital, sweetheart. We're all down the road, right? Because we'll go into Jake's or we'll go into...
Sure.
Right? And it's like, they're not all in the hospital. I love the fact that you think they are.
Maybe that is something the hospital should consider putting bars in.
I always thought the floating rib was across the road.
It could be.
According to Port Charles, it was. Before they started night shift.
Oh, so you watched Port Charles, so you didn't watch that either.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I started with the Loving, and when Loving ended, they put Port Charles in its place.
Okay.
And I ended up getting sucked into that rabbit hole.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So
Because I believe that was the start of college for me. So
Okay.
all the vampire, witches, crazy. I was like, this is kind of cool.
Right. Well, so then you watched Laura Wright when she was on Loving.
Yes, I did. Be on Guiding Light because I had a roommate in college who watched Guiding Light, and I used to have to fight for the TV sometimes for General Hospital because it was on at the same time.
See, that just makes me sad, though, that some have gone away.
Yeah.
You know, I might not have watched them, but I mean, the Guiding Light was the first. It was on the radio. It was.
It's sad the fact that they're winding down and a lot of them have gone because now with the pandemic, this would be the perfect time to have them all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Escape from reality, just a couple of hours of mindless.
Right.
My life could be worse.
Just hope that they can survive this. So we posted on our Instagram the other day, a bunch of stars did a remake of The Princess Bride, but they like shot it at home.
Yeah.
So we tagged General Hospital in it and we're like, seriously, just do this. Like just have Chase out in his backyard doing something, you know, just move the story along. Just give us the people. We don't care about the fancy sets and lighting and everything. Like just
Give me a table read of a Zoom
right.
call.
Yeah.
Right.
Because at this point, we're all desperate for new.
Yeah.
So I will say I love watching all the old episodes. It's been really nice to go back and kind of remember storylines you forgot.
Mm-hmm.
The Georgie Dillon storyline.
Oh, I loved
They
them.
were so sweet.
Oh, and they were so adorable.
They were.
Watching Maxie and Lulu first meet and
Hate
that-
each other.
yeah, and now see what it is. And I miss the old Lulu too.
Us too.
Yep. I like how she's like, I know you do.
There's certain characters when they've changed them to other actresses, it's taken a while to get to how you like it. Like it took me a while to warm up to Laura Wright as Carly.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But once I did, I love it. Like
Yeah.
I love the way she portrays Carly. I was never a big fan of the recast of Emily ever.
Yeah.
To me, the story didn't flow. I didn't like the Emily Nicholas, not that way.
I agree.
It was fun when Amber was totally smitten with him and just,
Yeah.
you know, Like the little schoolgirl crush and
Right.
everything.
Absolutely. And then other recast, you're like, oh, glad they recast that, because that whatever they tried to hire for the first time didn't
Mhm.
work. Morgan, perfect example, Morgan.
Like the younger Morgan that we just saw recently on the.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a nice kid, but Brian Craig
Not on
really,
the level, not on
Yeah.
the same level as the rest of them.
yeah, Brian Craig really brought it.
Yeah.
It's a shame they
So
blew him
he
up.
seldom wore a shirt ever.
Yeah.
Watching the reruns of that, you notice how much he doesn't wear a shirt.
Certain people, we just think that they don't have as much wardrobe for as others.
But that's okay. That's okay. I'm good with that. Don't buy him any shirts. No.
Or Julian.
No.
I mean, where's Julian's clothes? He never has any shirts on.
No. Well, it's the
That's-
same as when Indigo came over from and became Jax.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching him on an old Australian surfer TV show that we used to get here late at night. Like it was on at like 1:30 in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
And it's hilarious because he's like 16, 17 in these shows, and then he came over and I was like, oh, this is awesome.
We have to find that show.
I know.
Now we have to find that show.
Although it makes me uncomfortable watching. I mean, even though like it would have been appropriate when I was younger and it was originally airing, it makes me feel weird to.
Now, yeah, absolutely. But it's funny because I remember the show, and then when he came on, it was like, I know you from somewhere. And then I found a rerun one night, and I was like, he's been on this show. Okay.
Oh, that is so funny.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely have to try to find that.
He actually wears shirts too much now.
Well,
In the beginning, he was always shirtless. Now, he very seldom is shirtless. It's
not on his
disappointing.
Instagram though.
Well, I need to start following him more closely then.
His Instagram has a lot of nice beach pictures.
Yes.
Okay then.
I
I
hate
miss
that
the-
we are totally marginalizing them.
It's not that we don't love their acting too. We just happen to
That is true.
appreciate
That is
the
true.
time they've put into
Well,
their looks also.
And like the recast of Lulu, even watching the most recent ones that they have been reshowing, they've changed her writing. She
Right.
was good as a recast when she first came on, so it's definitely not the actress. They've just
No.
totally made her a flighty, ditzy.
Where is the Lulu that Luke and Laura raised to be
Right.
fearless
Thank you.
and
This
to
Lulu
take
would never fire a
chances?
gun.
Yeah, and this is not and that was the other thing. I remember the day that they even brought Luke and Laura back, and not just Luke and Laura, but the day Jonathan Jackson walked into Ruby's.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I remember watching that and then wanting them to be my parent, because you wanted that adventurous spirit and that whole, I remember when Lucky and I believe they were all still kids at the time, got lost in the catacombs underneath Windermere. But it wasn't Windermere at the time.
It was after Nicholas came, though.
No, it was before Nicholas.
I'll have to go back and watch that.
I know.
Yeah, it was, I believe it was him and Robin.
Oh.
Lucky and Robin stuck in
In
catacombs.
catacombs. I haven't been able to find it, but I remember when God, that must have been early 90s.
Okay.
Well, now I definitely want to find that because I don't remember the two of them hanging out very often. Like,
No,
why were
it
they
wasn't.
catacombs
It
together?
was I think she was babysitting him if I was not.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, and him and I want to say Lucas, as a
Okay.
kid, decided to go play, and they ended up getting lost in the catacombs.
We will find this out.
Yes.
And if you're
Yeah.
listening and you know what she's talking about, please let us know.
Yeah, because it's just one of those stories that you remember, but you're kind
Yeah.
of like, it was off of another storyline shoot, so you're never sure where to find it.
Right.
Yeah. Definitely going to look that up because that sounds like something fun to at least
Yeah.
explore a little bit.
I miss the staff at the Q Mansion. We need to get
Yes.
some staff back in there.
Mhm.
Another Alice, another Reginald. Just-
Yep. And not an attorney disguising
Yeah.
themselves as a butler.
Yeah.
Dobson.
Although that was a
We
good
have
storyline.
so
I
much to
really
talk
liked
about with
that
Alexis.
storyline. Yes.
Yeah, that was my afternoons, was All My Children, General Hospital, One Life to Live, especially
Okay.
college. That was my breakdown. Because I work nights. A lot of the time I work midnights.
Mhm.
So for me, I'd be getting up at about 1, 2. So that would be my morning of coffee, and
Right. That's a good morning.
It
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
it really
So-
is.
You were a One Life to Live fan.
Oh yes.
How did you feel when the show ended and they decided to bring in some characters to General Hospital?
I love them bringing the characters in. I hated what happened by having to have them exit so quickly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I wanted to see where Carly and Todd would have gone.
I
Right.
They had been building that up to be so fun, especially when they brought Blair in, and she's like, oh, like trying to warn her.
Right.
And Carly's like, that whole scene was just awesome.
I love Blair. They could use Blair every day of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Star was finally getting her recording contract, and
absolutely.
Yeah, Star was good there too.
I didn't like how they all of a sudden killed Cole and the baby. Like, that was just, it was too harsh of an ending.
okay.
Especially after how they ended One Life to Live.
So how did they end One Life to Live then with, because I know that's how they were introduced onto General Hospital, was they had been in the car crash.
Well, the whole way they ended it was the same way they ended All My Children, with a big friggin', how do I explain it, cliffhanger.
Okay.
They had the one who was Trevor St. John tied to a bed, and the crazy lady was literally reading him the story of One Life to Live, and it left it off as, well, what will happen now? As he's still tied to the bed, and everybody's searching for him because he had gone missing.
Okay.
Right. It always made you feel like they could bring it back.
Yeah, and that was
why, didn't they? I thought they brought it back online.
I never went there, so I don't know if it was.
I tried, but here in Canada we couldn't actually access. Through Hulu, you could only get Canadian Hulu. Oh. And on the Canadian Hulu, we don't get the soap operas.
So how do you watch it?
Yeah, no, I watch on I either PVR it, or I watch on my local television station on my phone.
Oh, we forgot all about those things.
Yeah. Because I have an app for one of the local television stations, and they'll actually upload every night the new episode or whatever. So if I miss it, I just click on that.
Then you have to watch commercials.
Usually about 15 minutes.
Okay.
It's not as bad. It's like every 5 minutes they show a 30-second to 2-minute commercial.
Oh, okay.
And then back to the show. I think the show actually turns out to be like 36 minutes long.
All right, that's not too bad.
Yeah, no, it's not too bad at all.
Yeah, we're definitely spoiled by Hulu. Can just watch it uninterrupted.
Yeah, it was actually one of our biggest upsets, because I huge On My Children fan as well with General Hospital. Like, those were my go-to.
See, I watched, I grew up on All My Children, One Life to Live, and General Hospital, but as I got older, I just didn't have the time to commit to all three, so I would check back in on them to see how everyone was doing, but I didn't faithfully watch it all the time. So
yeah. And yeah, no, General Hospital is the only one that I was like, let's tape. Like, I have it on tape. I got to see this. I have to know what's going on. The rest of them, okay, if I have a sick day or a day off, I can check in.
Right, exactly.
Get lost for that.
Pick it up pretty quickly. Yeah.
And I mean, at the time too, we had all those soap opera digest magazines, and there was a show out from Seattle where they would actually recap the day of all the soaps.
Oh.
So every single soap was recapped at the end of the day, at the end of their news cycle. And I would actually tape that every day to get what had happened everywhere.
See, but that's why we do our show on Monday, because we sometimes need the time to catch up.
Absolutely.
So I would feel like that would be a lot of pressure, because I've thought about that. I'm like, why don't we just do a 10-minute podcast every day? Because we need time.
Yeah. And I mean, at that time, the two who were doing it were actually covering every soap.
Wow.
But they're getting paid to do that, so that's...
Yeah.
I can take that job.
But it was a nice 15-minute segment at the end of the news day. So it was a nice, hey, for those of you who had missed it.
I want your news. That sounds so happy.
Yeah.
Well, it was from Seattle. It wasn't mine. I was just taping it because I ended up getting those time shift channels.
I want Seattle news. I wonder, they're probably not still like that, huh?
No, that ended, I would say, shortly after 9/11.
Oh.
Right when we really needed some.
Exactly.
Yeah, but everybody was more serious. Let's get rid of all the pieces. So.
And because I remember, so Rudy Giuliani came back and he did the opening monologue for the first SNL, because everyone's like, are we allowed to laugh? And he's like, we have to.
Yes.
He's like, we have to get back to life, and it's never going to be the same. It's the same thing as with this pandemic. We're never going to go back to normal.
Right.
No.
But if you
it's a new normal.
What happened with the polio,
right?
And how life changed after that, it got better,
It did after, we have to ride this out. And I don't mean to sound too soft on it, but it's one of those, we have to do what we can do, but we also have to keep our heads high and just keep going, or we're all just going to end up in that depressive, there's nothing we can do, or the overly angry, we've got to fight everything, because that's what I'm seeing happen.
Yeah, right. Same.
And I think we need a good middle ground on that, so that we can just kind of, people who need to stay home, stay home. People who have to work, work. Let's just try to work together and figure this out as a collective, and stop batting each other over the heads and trying to fight.
Right. Does your daughter watch General Hospital with you?
She's starting to, but yeah, I know. It's been
My daughter
one thing.
won't watch with me.
You have to get them when there's a kid their age and the storyline going on. That's how I think it has to happen, because she came in the other day and it was the old Jocelyn episode.
Oh, okay. So that's a good one.
Just glued, and I was like, all right, I can work with this.
Don't let her know that that's like a 5-year-old scene,
Yeah, no, right? So it's just, but it's nice because and she comes in and she's like, you're watching your show, okay? When she was really little, she used to dance to the siren.
Aww.
Oh, from the original themes, or not the original theme song, but yeah, from the 90s.
Yeah, because I would watch the old YouTube clips.
Oh.
Oh yeah, it was funny.
That's sweet. I hope that she gets into it, and then you can have that.
The generational, yeah. I mean, my aunt has been watching for way before I'd ever watched, which is funny because I mentioned that I was going to do this, and she's like, "Oh my God, I've watched that show forever," and I'm like, "I know."
That's why I'm letting you know.
Yes. But it's just funny because it's funny because when we get together, we can talk about it, and it doesn't matter how many years ago it was or what the storyline was. Hey, I was thinking about this, and they know exactly what you're talking about. Like, there's no... Right.
Isn't it crazy, like, how much you forget, but then at the same time, you can go on and on and on about certain things.
It's when I watch your 411, like, when I listen to the 411s, I do it all the time. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about that. Oh, but I remember that.
Yep. Well, that's typically what happens is we're like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that. Let's do a 411 so that we can just spend time watching YouTube. And
even during the 411, we're like, I completely forgot this happened.
Yep. And I think that's normal. I mean, I would be really impressed if we remembered everything from General Hospital.
Very true, very true.
So what story would you have rewritten?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Catherine, Catherine and Stefan.
Okay.
I didn't like that love-hate friction.
Okay.
I would have rather, I think that I didn't like those two together. It was just, it looked awkward and awful half the time.
See, I liked them together, and then I thought it was gross when they threw Nicholas in the mix. I'm like,
yeah.
That's just awkward. Because he was a teenager then. I mean, it's not like he was
right.
A
yeah, no, that's
8-year-old. He was 18, 19 is still, yeah.
Baby to me these days.
Oh. If you're dating his uncle and then go to the 18-year-old, that's gross.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing when they put Emily and Sunny together for that.
Yes.
I couldn't stand it. I was like, no, what is this? And how is Jason okay with this?
Exactly.
And that...
Exactly. I was just going to say, I'm like, there's the whole bro code. You don't go after your friend's sister.
Especially that much younger.
Mm-hmm.
Naive. And let's be honest, at that point, Emily was still very naive.
Yeah,
so it didn't sit well. So those kind of storylines, and I don't like those ones where they're like, oh, we gotta hate. Like, but we're supposed to love them together even though they hate each other. Like, I want to see the hate but the love. Like that Tracy Luke.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's what they're doing with Ava and Nicholas right now, because what they were doing before Nicholas left.
Yeah.
Yes. It was Tracy Luke. But now it's like, no, we wanted them together, but not like this.
Yeah, exactly. And that was, and that one is bothersome too, because we thought we'd see more of Spencer. Like, I thought we'd see more of Spencer since as soon as he came home. I thought they were going to bring him home and it was going to be, no, we're going to keep him over here. And I don't know if that's because he's one of those kids they've decided, like Brooklyn, they're just not going to age.
Right.
Like, because it seems like every generation they pick one kid that they've followed from childhood out, like up.
Brooklyn aged. Didn't Brooklyn age?
Not Brooklyn Sizer.
Oh, Emma. Okay, yes.
Emma, yeah, right. Like, sorry.
Like, we just talked about her. I'm like, did she age? Well, that's the worst thing is we forget what we learned during the 411. I'm like, we have to go back and listen to ourselves.
But yeah, that
right.
And it seems like they've picked one every generation, or two, like Lucky, another one they didn't age out, and then they aged him, and then they brought him back. Like, it
Lucky
was
technically shouldn't be as old as he is, though. So they
very
aged
true.
straight off the gate. I mean, they just he should not have been 13. He could have been like 9.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Luke and Laura got married in 1981, but they showed up in 1992 with like a 14-year-old kid. And so
I always pictured him as I always assumed he was a lot younger because he looked so young in those.
He's such a baby.
Yeah, I thought he was like 12, but they didn't say he had a baby right away.
But he's still. Well, we know that they didn't because
they were on.
They were on until like 80. So
yeah.
But we saw them like in 1983 and everything, and
they didn't have one then. Yeah. Got it.
But it's okay. Well, we're okay with Jonathan Jackson.
I was going to say, no one's turning
absolutely.
Jonathan Jackson away.
When they brought Greg Vaughn in, as much as he's a good actor, he was no Lucky.
No.
Like, it's the same as this new Nicholas. I'm starting to warm up to him, but he's never going to be Tyler.
Nope. But I feel like he's better than whoever the other one was that came in the 90s. So now I'm drawing.
Oh, yes. No, absolutely.
Because he's making him his own. You know, he's bringing out the evil.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm not liking him as much, is because I don't want Nicholas to be that Cassadine.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Right. He had so many redeeming qualities when he was with Emily.
So
it's a shame
polite
that they're going to throw that all out the window and turn him into a jerk. More of a jerk.
And it was nice to see on some of those repeat episodes how Spencer came about.
Yep.
With Courtney and all that storyline. Was actually nice to relive that.
Yeah.
I miss Courtney.
I know. I'm like, that just makes me miss her so much more, though, because, when she came and visited him.
Yeah.
Oh, tears. I was crying. I was bawling, and the hubby's like, why are you crying? I'm like, she's dead.
I still cry, like, even thinking about Luke leaving. Like, it's hard.
And it's funny because I had to work that week that he left, and I was so disappointed that I didn't actually get to watch it on a big screen and watch that final episode where they brought in the story.
Yeah.
And so I'd watch it on YouTube and stuff, but as you know, guys watching YouTube, sometimes that voice distortion, it's not the same. So I'd seen it and I was like, oh, that's great. Yeah. But when they started to do the reruns and I caught it again and I got to watch it on the big screen, I was like, haven't you seen this? I'm like, shut up and get out because I need to watch this. Like, I don't even care right now. Go.
Well, like when Tracy came back in the fall or in the winter, I had a major issue with it and my husband was like, what is wrong with you? I was like, you don't understand. I already processed her leaving. They brought in Luke for that real quick cameo and he wasn't supposed to ever come back. I was like, you don't understand. I can't do it again.
Yeah, no, because we were so used to, with Tony Geary, like I know I was, it's August. He's off on another adventure for a month.
Right.
Right? Because you knew twice a year he had that in his contract, he had that month break. So you knew when it was happening, it was like, oh, okay, he'll be back, no problem. And now that he's gone, you're like, and every reference to him is like, it's like, well, the whole trying to get his phone number through Tracy was absolutely.
Right. Well, and like you even said, Amanda, why didn't they just ask Lulu?
Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
You have
that one made no sense. Yeah.
And
is Lucky ever coming back from Ireland?
Oh, please, we need him. So
and I miss John Ingalls as Ed.
Yeah, I think.
Watching some of those scenes the other day with him and Ethan and Maya, you really miss that old Q home.
Mm-hmm. He was so good. See, and I never watched any other Edward, so I know that there were 2 prior. No, that's a lie, because there was that guy who filled in for him in the 90s that I did not like.
From B&B, and I never liked him as Edward ever.
So like I don't know the first 2, but we were watching something, and they always show the one who was right before him.
Yes.
Daniel.
Yeah.
He seemed nice, but Johnny
he was. And when they recast for Edward, I remember it threw a few of my older friends off. They're like, "This isn't Edward," da, da, da. And you kind of watched as they fell in love with him because he was a little more snarky. He was a little more like he cut a bit. The jib cut a bit more. Like it was just so much fun to see how they were like, "Oh, we're not gonna accept another Edward," and then all of a sudden they're all like,
so was Edward always like that with Lila? You know, I mean, she could put him in his place.
"Oh yeah, no," and that's what I remember most of my childhood watching Lila snap and watching the old episodes where she walks and
yes,
because my more vivid memories of her is in the wheelchair.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right. And I think you guys made a comment about when Oscar died, about how weird it was that they well, and I actually thought that was so beautiful, like because she didn't get a chance to meet him.
Yeah, right.
That they were bringing him up to meet the rest of the Qs that he hadn't met yet.
I loved it. She did not.
Sorry,
you didn't, because that was something that we disagreed. I was like, but it was great. You're like, no.
I don't hate it. I liked where they were coming from. That's just not, I don't know, not how I would have picked.
Yeah.
I like anytime that we even, but at the same time, I'm a hot mess crying over it because they have Edward and Lila, and I'm like, they're meeting their grandson.
Yeah, I wish they'd bring more of the Lila's Rose Garden into it.
Yes.
Well, last year we didn't even have Lila's kids.
Right.
I mean, they run around with the shirts on, but I haven't actually seen any.
Well, we think that they listened to our podcast because we kept saying, when's Lila's kids coming? And then it was like August 28th, and finally Jocelyn comes home with the shirt on or something. We're like, it's over by now. She's back in school.
Yes, you're fine.
Or you guys are back in school at the end of August?
We're back August 19th.
August 19th this year.
Oh yeah, it was the 21st.
Oh, wow. Okay, we always go back the day after Labor Day.
Oh, okay.
September. So
I was like earlier and earlier. But now we'll be done before Memorial Day.
Right. We used to go into the middle of June, and now we're done by the end of May.
But
yeah, we go right to the middle of June, about the 15th of June. I know.
I love doing these interviews.
Now it makes me mad that we're definitely not having Lila's kids this year.
Nope.
Like for the 4th of July, I was all angry we didn't. We didn't even not have fireworks to be mad about. We just didn't have it at all.
Yeah, it's a weird summer not having the regular. Like, I mean, and it's funny because you could see it happening. They were ramping up the teen storyline again.
Right.
Like, you always know once we see them like more than 3 times a week.
Yes.
It's like, all right, it's summer or March break or whatever, and they're gonna start reeling in all the young ones.
Right. And it was super disappointing to me this year because I have a 14 and 17-year-old. So I was thinking this is going to be the year. I'm going to get them hooked because they've seen enough of Jocelyn, just watching them watch it, that they like her enough. And I was like, this is going to be the year. And Megan likes that we do the podcast. So I was all ready for it. And now, no, there's no GH addicted to. And when they start up again, summer's just not going to happen.
I was going to say, I'm like, what are they going to do? Do you think they'll do like maybe, here's what you missed? I hope that they figure out how to rewrite some things that they're going down the wrong path with right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a few storylines that need to just up and die.
Yep.
And a few that need to be explored more. And I do have an answer for your question. If she had done that much drugs, she would have died.
Okay.
I that's one of the harm reduction is one of the things I do at one of the festivals.
Oh, okay.
So if she had done that entire bottle, there's no hope.
That's what. Okay. I mean, that was a lot.
That was a lot. And to me, I've never tried them, but I still feel like I would try it cautiously. If you handed me a vial of something, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to take a little bit and see how I react. I wouldn't dump a whole bottle and snort it, shoot it, whatever you do with it. Like, no.
Yeah.
Well, and it depends on what they were trying to make it out to be, because if they were trying to make it out to be cocaine, it was not that.
Right.
It looked more like crystal meth, and you do not take it that way.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't even think about it not being Coke. I just assumed fashion rolled Coke because that's a stereotype.
Right.
And it was for the longest time in the culture. It's not so much in the culture right now. There's other things they're using.
Oh, okay. Great. We don't have to go into detail about
that.
This
Could be
no, I'll leave it. one of the things we do on Tuesday nights here in my town, in my church, we run an overnight shelter and dinner program.
Okay.
So because of how open I am, they're not afraid to talk to me. So I have a lot more information than most people, because I'll be like, hey, so and so, can you honestly tell me, like, with my daughter, I was 3 months pregnant when they put me on bed rest
Okay.
because I kept dilating, and they were so afraid.
Wow.
Because of all the past, they were like, okay, no, we're going to be, and they had me on bed rest. And I was like, we didn't have cable at the time. I was watching everything over my Wi-Fi on all my apps and stuff. But as soon as I got put on bed rest, I'm like, we need cable and I need a TV in the bedroom, because I am not going to go crazy for 12 hours a day sitting there. And so I spent all that time getting back into all my soaps and each little recovery I've had, General Hospital's been there too, which has been great, because I knew I could always lose myself for that hour in what was going on the screen. And I look forward to it. Like, I actually get up and I'm like, is it 11 yet? Are you guys all going out? Okay, it must be time.
Right. Oh, that's nice. If you could have dinner with any cast member, so not necessarily the character, who would it be? Present, past, future. But you don't know future. Sorry.
I wish I did.
I know. It's us.
At the nurse's ball.
At the nurse's ball at the table.
You know what? That is a dream. Being at the nurse's ball is a dream.
Seriously, they could auction that off.
Yes.
Right? For charity? I loved your idea about doing it for charity.
Thank you.
That was one of the best ideas I've heard so far. Like, sell the product, sell the swag, put it all towards the Nurses Ball Fund and donate it.
Yep.
I love it.
I have to really just send them. Like, I'll have to. That's how Howard Schultz got Starbucks. He wrote the owners once a week that he wanted to buy their business. So we're gonna have to start writing once a week.
Okay.
To Frank Valentini. Mr.
Yeah.
Valentini, listen to us.
Yes.
I would probably want to have a meal with Laura Wright, like, or Carolyn Hennessy, one of the two. I'd actually love both of them, because the two of them, I've watched both of them in interview and podcasts, and I think they'd be great to talk to.
I like those. Yeah. I don't think there's anyone I wouldn't. I just like to hear it.
Right. Bad choices.
No. No, there's no bad choices. So what about character-wise? You can pick three.
Oh, wow. Character-wise, Elizabeth.
Oh.
Okay.
Only to ask her what happened, because she was because I fell in love with her when she came on, and I've slowly turned to hating her over time, and I don't like that.
We're in the same boat.
Well, you hear it all the time. I'm like, we can't figure out how to like her because she drives us crazy now.
Yeah.
I want to like her.
Yes. I want to love her. I want to love her like I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Actually, Chad Duell, just because I heard him on a few podcasts, and just the comedy, and Tony Gary, because who wouldn't want to have dinner with him?
Right.
Oh, yeah. He's a given. He's like the bingo. He's the free space on bingo. He's just tossed in there for everything. I like it. I can't think of anything else. I was going to say, don't look at me.
I feel like we covered everything.
Do you have anything that you want to share?
I don't know. I'm glad for you guys. Like, thank you for doing this podcast, because I don't know if you understand how sometimes entertaining you guys are for the rest of us to listen to. No, it's
you know
funny
how entertaining we are to each other.
That makes me very happy, because sometimes I leave Shannon's house and I'm like, is anyone else going to even understand what we were trying to say there? Because we just go off on God knows what.
Well, it's funny because there's times that I don't agree, and it's funny because I'd be like, no, Dad. Right? And then other times I'm like, right, I've been saying this to the hubby for days.
So what is something that you have disagreed with us on? Ooh, we should ask a question.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny, I can't remember, but it was one of the 411. Oh, and we need to do the Spencer 411.
Okay.
Spencer Family 411.
Spencer Family Tree, yeah.
I went to listen for it because you like advertise it after the Baldwins, and I was like, where? And I was like,
in our mind, we have more time than we do.
We've also never gone back and done the Jax, Chloe, Ned, Alexis individual couples.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to get them.
Well, you did touch on that one a bit.
We did the
marriage swap.
The marriage swap.
Okay.
We didn't talk about them actually being couples, like them being serious couples. And we kept saying that we were going to, and then things happen, and we're like, no, we can talk about this now.
Right. We get excited about something we see or some topic that they bring up, and then that just takes over.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, you guys mention the rabbit holes all the time, and I fall into them all the time because I'll go searching for one thing, and it's like, I forgot that. How did that turn out again?
Yeah.
And that's how we get most of our 411s is because we're like, wait, need more information.
And I like your theory. I agree with your theory on Dustin being Faith and Cyrus's.
Good.
That was a joint effort.
It's a good
Yeah,
goal.
no, you know what? It's the only
I said
thing
he
that
was
makes
Cyrus.
sense.
You said Faith. That was awesome.
Yeah. But we definitely need more of the Wards coming back.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We need to have some of those original families step back into the forefront.
Yep.
And come home from vacation.
Right. That's another one we have to do is the people who just, where'd they go? Like, where does Felix go?
I don't know. I keep wondering if they have a lover for him somewhere off in the distance that we just don't know about because we never see him.
That would be a good way to bring him back more often.
Yeah.
Just let us know. Yeah.
And I can't remember the one thing I was disagreeing with you guys about because it was so far back listening to it. But one that I definitely agreed was the Faith Roscoe Dustin child. That's totally.
I loved Faith.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I loved her and then I forgot she was there for the longest time because it's been so long. And then you go back and you're like, that's right.
Yep.
Oh, I know what the one I disagreed with. The Lulu and Johnny. I did not like that relationship.
So you are more of a Shannon than an Amanda. We should do that as a quiz.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I didn't think that I didn't even think Luke would approve of that crap. Like,
I am surprised that Luke let that happen because they were very out and about it. But no, I think it was a good learning experience for her. She had to be with the bad guy so she could end up with the good guy. Okay.
Yeah, no,
absolutely. To end up with Dante. Not that that turned out the way we thought it was going to either, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I don't like her with Dustin.
No.
Mm-mm. It had potential, but
then they moved it too fast. As a single mom just coming off of a divorce, that next relationship most likely is not going to be something substantial. It's your rebound.
And not only that, when I separated from when we separated, the only reason I'm actually with my partner now is because he was the partner I had when I lost my child.
Okay.
Right. So to me, he was the one I could and even still, he didn't get to be around my daughter. He didn't get to there were months of she's here, he's here. There's no intermingling.
Right. In all fairness, she didn't just introduce Rocco to him. Rocco kind of happened to see him, didn't he? I don't know.
It's all the outings they go out on together.
Yes, and it was pretty early that Charlotte made that comment about, oh, Dustin's going to sleep over or whatever. My kids would never.
No, they wouldn't even, she wouldn't even have known. And it wouldn't have happened while she was home. Dates happened on nights she wasn't home.
Right. My husband came over for a movie and pizza, I think, after the kids had gone to bed. A couple months after, because, he didn't meet them for 2 months after we started dating.
Yeah.
And I think it was before he officially met them. And my son walked downstairs and goes, where are you? And then he went back upstairs. He's like, and now he's my husband.
But even then, you were watching a movie. He didn't walk in on the two of you.
No, there were no sleepovers.
Yeah.
There were no sleepovers when they were home.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You keep it separate so you know that they could become a more substantial part of your life.
Absolutely. Yeah. This has been awesome.
Thank you for doing it.
Yeah.
This has been awesome.
Thanks for all the different arrangements. I know life is crazy right now.
It was, thank you. I'm not even going to get into it, but yeah. No, thank you so much. And, feel free to, and I love that you disagree, but you didn't you were nice about it. So,
right.
Thank you.
Yes.
No, absolutely. No, because you know what? We all have our own thoughts on the characters and we all have our favorites and we all have little.
It's more fun when you have fun disagreeing about something too.
Yeah. Our better conversations are the ones we don't agree on.
Oh, I know. And then that's one of those things where, you know what? It's just fun to see how everybody else is taking some of the storylines because that's really what I find the best about listening to you guys and even myself because I can come home and go, I heard them say this and this is what I need. It's well, I don't know that yet, but.
Oh, man. Well, thanks again so much for your time and hopefully we'll be able to do this again.
Oh, absolutely. Whenever.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sarah. Have a great day.
Guys. You too.
Bye.
Bye.
So that was awesome. I love her.
She was so much fun to talk to.
We should plan a trip to Canada.
We should.
Let's meet all our
Are we
Canadian
ever going to be
GH fans.
allowed?
Oh, don't say that.
Well, we just found out that the convention was pushed back again.
Yes, but that
So,
kind of makes me happy.
Rightfully so.
Yes.
It's funny because I was seriously thinking about it this morning. I was thinking about that and my company's convention, and both of them sent out announcements today.
Oh, well, there you go.
Basically saying, yeah, so.
I'm happy for us, though, because that gives us more time to plan there and have something awesome to do next year instead of throwing everything together, and it'll obviously, hopefully, be safer at that point in time.
And I had a quick correction, I guess, for us because we talked at great detail how old Lucky is.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Fix it.
Lucky's birth announcement was on screen 1985.
Oh.
So when he came, that was 93. So should have been 8.
He was not 8.
Right. In 1993, when Jonathan Jackson, who was 11, came on, he was stated to be 10. So that's 1983. Isn't that the year that Laura died?
I don't know.
I think it is.
But I don't know.
But then on his marriage license, it says 1979, which is when she was married to Scotty. So Lucky was aged. It was just never really on screen. It was kind of like
paid more attention though to who she was married to. Like, we're not going to turn around and make Lucky Scotty's. What the heck?
But okay, could that possibly open that up? But we would have seen her be pregnant,
right?
Because she was seriously on at that time. At least when he was on. At least when he was born off screen. Okay, give it 2 years,
exactly.
But to up it to 1979. But I think that they had to do that to accommodate for Nicholas.
Oh, that would make sense. That
think.
would make sense. And maybe they just loved Jonathan Jackson, so he's lucky forever.
Yeah, but he was lucky in 93 when he was 10.
Yeah, but maybe he was
Ooh,
lucky.
You know what, though? That doesn't say which Lucky the marriage license was on.
Oh, okay.
Was Jonathan Jackson the only one that got married? I don't think so. I think Jacob Young got married.
Did he?
I don't
know.
I don't know either. But yeah, so.
Have we done Lucky yet?
We have not.
Okay. So I know
it's going to take longer than Dante.
I know I should know that, but sometimes I forget what we've done. Yeah, we can do Lucky, and then we can figure out all of that.
Sarah did remind us that we also have to do the Spencer family. So
well, see, then perfect.
Exactly.
It all comes together.
Yep.
There you go.
So join us on Monday as we recap Night Shift.
Yes, Disc 2.
Yes.
I don't know what the names of those ones are yet.
I don't either.
So have a good weekend.
And we'll meet you at the pier.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to pier54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review.
And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Pier 54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there is something that we missed or messed up, just let us know by emailing us at pier54podcast@gmail.com.